Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and welcome to part 3 of the collab palettes in my collection. This is going to be the final part of this little mini series I've been doing on my channel. So if you want to see the rest of the collab palettes I have in my collection or just hang out, keep on watching. Before we get too far into the video, if you haven't already, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. I upload twice a week. It's totally free to subscribe and I would love to have you back on the channel and chat with you in the comments. Alright, so let's get into it. So, my first one here is the collab with Angelica Nyqvist that Kaleidos did, Club Nebula. My other collab with her I had in the first video, and I'm going to show this to you as best as I can, but I have a couple shades that, I don't know if it's because they're a bit dry or what, but they are crumbly. My Firefly and my Celestial shades are kind of crumbly. So again, I'm holding the plastic on it so that they don't just like spill and dump out when I lift it. This is a palette that I did not want at first. I was like, what would I do with that color story? I don't even know. And then after I saw people doing looks with it, I was like, oh, that actually looks really cool, that color combination. So I grabbed it on the restock before it was gone for good. Next up, I'm just gonna go ahead, I think, and do all the Morphe ones to get them out of the way. I've got the collab that Mandy did with Morphe, and this is just like a little neutral moment. I didn't really need it, but it is really nice neutral colors. It's got one of these like brown to green kind of duochromes too, and I do really like the highlighters that Morphe has. So I know some of you might really like Morphe and their affordability. Some of you might hate Morphe. Most of these palettes I bought when I was first getting into makeup, which I would say was like 2017 when I started getting more into makeup. And I was living in my first like apartment that I was in alone and didn't have like a ton of money because I had enough to move out and that was like it. So when I did get stuff, I was getting things like this where I think I got this when it was maybe $10 or something like that. So I can't really tell you the last time I purchased from Morphe, but that's why I have so many in my collection, is from back when I just needed cheap stuff that worked. And this stuff, it does work. They're fine. I have the set of 4 Jaclyn Hill The Vault palettes. I bought them at different times. That's why you'll see the one is different than the others. Because again, I didn't have the money to get them all at once, but I liked the color stories and I had enjoyed the big original palette that I got. So much like many of you, I was hoping this would be the same formula. I haven't had a bad time with these. I know some people have. If you want to see more about any of these older palettes, let me know. I'm not going to open them all up individually just for time, but there's Bling Boss, Bring the Alarm, and then there's Armed and Gorgeous and Dark Magic. One is more like orangey, autumnal, yellowy. Dark Magic is like dark teal, black, green. Ring the Alarm is more like red, orangey, brown. And then Bling Boss is more like purplies. So yeah, those are the palettes that I have that are collabs there. And then we might as well, while we're talking about Jaclyn Hill, like I said, I have the original palette. I still bring her out from time to time, and it's still like usable, works after all these months, years. Like I just said, when I first started getting more into makeup and wanted to try more things than just drugstore. I would say before that time, I was pretty much exclusively using drugstore makeup. And if you don't know, drugstore can't touch anything else. Drugstore eyeshadows, I would say. Foundation, blushes, everything else, they're getting pretty good. But eyeshadows, I would still argue now, the closest to like an okay formula eyeshadow wise, I would say would be like e.l.f. The little bite-sized palettes are pretty good, but nothing at the drugstore can touch most of the rest of my eyeshadow collection. So this was the original, and then I didn't get it when it first launched, but I did eventually get volume 2 as well. And I actually like the color story of volume 2 better than 1, just because it's colorful. You know, there's more options. It's not just like 20 shades of brown. You know what I mean? And I've done a sick, like at Christmas time, this red metallic empowered. These with glitter primer really look nice. Okay, now I will say with Morphe, I would recommend a glitter primer to really make them look sparkly. But then if you do that, I feel like they're pretty good, especially for the money. Believe it or not, I have 2 more Morphe collabs, okay? But we're almost done with the Morphe, I promise. So if you don't want to hear about them, just skip forward maybe like another minute, because I've got some more indie companies and things like that coming up. But I did get the Morphe x Ashley Strong palette. I watched that series, I don't even remember what it was called, but that thing that James Charles did on YouTube that she ended up winning. And I did want her to win. I thought her artistry was the best. And here it is. I love this like opening thing. It kind of reminds me of the Nikki Tutorials collab, but I just liked the color story. Now, have I used this yet? No, in my pile of shame. I don't remember if I included this one in that video or series I did, pile of shame or not. I'll link that playlist if you're interested. But it was on sale and I was like, you know what? I like the color story. Now, I will say I was following Ashley after that series, and I've since unfollowed her on socials just because, and maybe it's different now, but at least whenever I was following her, a lot of her stories were very like party it up and smoking and all this stuff that I was like, okay, I'm not interested in like seeing this. It's not my lifestyle, it's not my vibe, and that's not me trying to be judgy or anything. It just wasn't for me personally. So, but I still like the palette color story, even though I'm not currently following the creator. And the last one, Nikita, another follower or another creator that I'm not following. I know who Nikita Dragon is. I've got a couple palettes I got from TJ Maxx from Dragon Beauty, but I didn't get this because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to support the creator. Kind of like I did with the Manny one, because I do really like Manny MUA. But this one just looked fun. It just looked really fun. Now I will say the first 2 rows, not as much fun. But I do appreciate when I play with color like this, pairing it with a neutral, I get that. This swirly shade is what got me, because that was the first time I had ever seen anything like that. I know Nomad has that a little bit more in like their America's Parks palette. I'll leave that video linked if you're interested, and a little bit going forward past that. But yeah, that was why. Literally that one swirly shade. It's got a pressed glitter too, which I don't really mess around with, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe that would be fun for a little cheek party sprinkle at some point, because I do that with pressed glitter sometimes, just to use them, you know, put them on the face, but not on the eyes, because I'm not trying to scratch my cornea. Sorry about the slight shift here. You can see a little of my closet now, but my battery was about to die, so I needed to shift and move my camera around so it reached the charger here. Next up, as promised, indie brands here. We have the Tiny Marbles collab from Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson. I don't know if you count either. I got the singles that were like the Natasha Denona Retrograde palette dupes or whatever that Mel Thompson, it was like the In Memory Of collab that they did with the singles. But that's not like a pre-made palette, so I didn't count that one in here. I really like this palette. This, for some reason, reminds me a little bit of Menagerie. I think it's just the pan layout and everything, how they have it, but Meadowhawk is one of my favorites in this palette. I do really, really like that. And I like Jewel Bee and Mantis, this matte green and purple, because they are very muted and not too pigmented. And for like color on an everyday basis where I don't want something super like intense or grungy or whatever, like what I'm wearing now, this one is really nice. I took it 1 year to band camp for a whole week and wore nothing but this palette the whole week and loved it every single day. Lots of variety there, so I didn't get bored. Next up, we've got an Ulta collab. This is the collab with Melissa Michelle. This was again when I was just looking to try things but didn't want to break the bank. And I was really into berry tones. That was my way of doing color and not being too neutral. Oh, I lost the brush that comes in it. Actually, it's not even a brush because I didn't even really know too much about like brushes. Sorry, I'm trying to get it here. Or application. Behold, the sponge. These I refuse to use at this point. The fact that this came with this, no. And I think it was supposed to be to pick up like these glitters a little bit easier, but no. No. This glitter liquid liner actually should use a bit more because I do like doing like a little glitter over top of my liner or to do a second liner along with, and I like this color. These shadows work really nice. I didn't hit pan in any of them, but there are definitely like divots in most of them. And then again, no pressed glitters on the eyelids, but I did use a few of them just for like the face, or honestly, I might have used them on the eyes if I didn't know better by then. But I wasn't familiar with this creator at all, just liked the like neutralness, rosiness of it. We're down to our last 3 palettes, you guys. So next up from Wet n Wild, who remembers the Bretman Rock collab? Oh my gosh, I think I've only used this once, but I don't know. I go back and forth with Bretman, like phases of being into him or not, but summery rainbow mood struck at some point and I got this. I really like the big peacock energy, this metallic green actually. I don't think in my collection I have anything else that is that deep of a green shimmer. Everything else I have is more teal, I think, than that one. So maybe this one, in doing this video and getting it out, I will leave out because it's June and I haven't done anything rainbowy as I'm sitting here in this grungy Halloween fall leaning look. I haven't done anything rainbow this summer, so maybe that will inspire me if I leave it out. Next up, I made mention of this. This is the Beauty Bay and Nikki Tutorials collab palette. I know some people don't like this one. Frankly, me personally, I love it. This is my first ever Beauty Bay palette. The shimmers are amazing. I haven't really touched any of the brights in this one either. You can probably see like Amsterdam and Ooh and like those brighter colors I haven't really touched. I usually go more for like the browns or like the berries. I've even done the periwinkle, but this one could be a good one to do bright look with as well. Tell me in the comments, did you love this one or did you hate this one if you got it? Because I know some people were not happy with the quality. I quite like it personally. Beauty Bay shimmers, wonderful, and it inspired me to buy, I think I have 3 other Beauty Bay palettes now because of this one and me liking the formula so much. And finally, the last collab palette in my collection. It's been a journey, you guys, and thank you so much if you've watched all 3 and been on the entire journey with me. But the last one is from Makeup Revolution London. It is the Emily Edit The Once palette. For a time I followed Emily Noel. I don't anymore. Sometimes I fall in and out of love with creators. Let me know if you're like that too. Not because of anything they did or said necessarily. It's just like seasons of time and things and people that I do or don't really relate to, and styles of makeup evolve and stuff like that. So it's, again, nothing against this person. It's just how it is. But this to me is a wonderful, again, playing with color but playing it safe and keeping it a little more muted moment. Like I've done liner, this corduroy. I love doing a neutral look with a colorful liner, like a dark navy or a green or a burgundy. I've mentioned this before on my channel, but to me that's a fun way to do a little pop without getting too crazy, or like in your mind what might be a little too crazy, you know, instead of doing like a greeny pukey colored lip like I'm doing today. If you don't want to take it that far, that's fine. This is great. I don't even know if you can find this or get this anymore, but I do really like it. The matte whites, really good, like pigmented in this one. I've used this gold top story so many times. Eve Rose I like as a shimmer on the inner portion of the lid. Yeah, this one I've used quite a bit. Again, I don't have pan hit in any of the shades, but I definitely have like divots in the pans that you can see. And yeah guys, that is it for today's video. That is all of the collab palettes in my collection. Let me know if you want to see looks with any of these that I haven't filmed yet. I'll leave linked any videos if I have filmed with any of these in the past. and let me know what else you want to see on my channel. I could definitely go through this. It would just be one video, not a series of collab palettes I have with like franchises like Animal Crossing or Disney, things like that. For example, Nightmare Before Christmas. I definitely have palettes that are collabs with franchises that I could do this with. Yeah, I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye!